Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So the Four Nations face-off starts tomorrow, and I know that a lot of people are poo-pooing this tournament. I am absolutely jacked up. I know it's not perfect. I would have loved the World Cup of Hockey, say, in September, so it doesn't potentially massively impact NHL playoffs. But this is going to be an awesome tournament. This is going to be awesome. A nice little mini tournament. What does it span? Like 9 days, 8 days total, Wednesday to Thursday. It's pretty quick, and it's going to be really fun to see these teams go at it best on best for the first time since 2016. Beggars can't be choosers, and we got the Olympics next year. So yeah, I'm going to predict this. We're going to go game by game up until the championship game, give you my predictions, who I think at the end is going to be the leading scorer of the tournament, as well as the MVP of the tournament. So yeah, let's not waste any time. Let's get into it. And our first matchup is Canada versus Sweden. I have Canada winning this one 3-1. I think the defense scores actually are pretty comparable when looking at Canada versus Sweden. I would maybe slightly lean Sweden just because Kelmakar is that good. But yeah, I think they're going to be able to stifle Canada offensively to a degree. Still 3 goals, still win the game. But I think guys like Ekholm, Dahlin, Forsling, awesome defensively, Brodin as well, that I think they're going to somewhat be able to stifle them. But I just have a little bit of concern about how Sweden's going to generate offense, especially from the center positions, where you thought that was maybe going to be a strength of this team coming into the tournament, coming into the season, not coming into the tournament, considering they had guys like Pedersen, Joel Eriksson Ek, Zibanejad, Lindholm. All those guys are playing like shit. So I have some worries about the Swedish forward core overall. And as a result, I have them winning 3-1. I don't think goaltending is going to play a massive factor in this, although it would slightly lean Sweden. 3-1, Canada. Next up, the United States versus Finland. I have Finland winning this game 2-1. I had to go bold on one pick. I had to go very bold on one prediction. 9 times out of 10, the United States beats this Finland team, and probably 6 or 7 of those times it's by 2, 3, maybe even 4 goals, and they blow them out. I understand Finland's defense core is objectively bad considering the Heiskanen and Ristolainen injuries. But yeah, I'm going bold on this. I think Finland still, their forward core is still damn good. They have one of the best first lines with Barkov and Rantanen and whoever the hell they throw on that left wing, as well as UC Saros. So I can easily see a situation where they score 2 early goals from 2 top 15 players in the entire NHL. Again, Barkov and Rantanen, and they go on to just park the bus for the most part and lock it down. Not really. The forwards play great defense, so I think that can compensate for somewhat of the defense score. And again, you just look at Finland on the international stage at World Juniors, don't always have the most talented teams, but they seem to always play this defensive style, cohesive, with a lot of chemistry. That's just what Finland does at these tournaments. So I think that they can pull off an upset in this spot. And the chemistry is insane with this team. They have 3 Dallas Stars players, now that they have Mikael Granlund, 3 Carolina Hurricanes, 3 Florida Panthers, 2 Montreal Canadiens, and you look at that team from 2016 that won the World Juniors, one of the best World Junior teams of recent memory. A lot of those guys are now on this team, Finland, so there's going to be a lot of pre-existing chemistry. You would think that United States getting Finland right out of the gate would be a positive, considering they're the least talented team, but I kind of see it in some ways as a negative, because again, Finland is going to be the most cohesive team, in my opinion, in this tournament. Might not be the most talented, but again, the forward core is still great. The goaltender is still great. Defense core is going to be a little bit shaky, and they might not fare as good later on in the tournament. We're going to get that, but I have an upset going down. Finland beating the United States 2-1. Next up, Sweden versus Finland. I got Sweden winning this one 4-2. Again, going back to that defense score, and also with the United States, as I'm going to mention throughout this, not having Quinn Hughes. If they go down in games, that's going to be tough offensively. But back to Sweden versus Finland. Yeah, Sweden, I think that, yeah, the defense core is going to play a decent factor in this. They are just that much better. And I think that high of Finland potentially beating the United States in this scenario, they might come a little bit lackluster just 2 days later, playing on that Saturday at 1 p.m. It'll only be like 36 hours apart or something. No, not 36, like 40 hours apart. But yeah, I think Sweden will be able to. Against Canada, they won't be able to generate a ton of offense. But again, against that defense score, I think they'll be able to take care of business. Solid. And I think, again, Saros, after having to stand on his head 40 hours later, having to play another game against Sweden, could factor in. 4-2. Sweden gets it done, not Finland. United States versus Canada. I have the United States bouncing back and winning this game by a score of 5-2. The United States would have their backs up against the wall. They would have to win this game, would have a lot more to play for in this. Not saying Canada wouldn't give a shit, but they win the first game. They're not backs up against the wall like the United States, and I think that they would lock the hell in. I think Hellebuck would lock the hell in, even though in the first game I'm allowing 2 goals. I think he would really stonewall them with this. Fox and Slavin would have to play the game of their lives, shutting down the top two lines that are centered by McDavid and McKinnon. But yeah, I think the United States really locks in that second game after getting embarrassed. Not saying Finland's some horrible team, not trying to minimize them so much, but that would be very embarrassing if they lost to Finland. That I think they bounce back in a big way and get a win and play to the potential that we know that they're capable of. I mean, they're the favorites of this tournament slightly right now, and get a massive round robin win against Canada to stay alive in this situation. Next up, Canada versus Finland. And again, the winner of this game would advance to the championship game. I think Canada would lock the hell in just that top end talent that the United States maybe doesn't have. And I know I just said that Canada loses to the United States, but McDavid and McKinnon versus Olimata, Henri Jokiharju, Urho Vankanainen, Juuso Välimäki would just be way too much. I think Canada, again, backs up against the wall in this situation, would take care of business. It'd be barbecue chicken for those top end guys. Finland would probably score some goals against Aiden Hill and Jordan Binnington to get to that 3 goals. But I think that we just see progressively this team begin to get worn out because of the defense core and their capabilities. Guys like Esa Lindell having to play 25, 30 minutes a night, that when it comes to the third game, I think they'll just all kind of come crashing down. Finland's going to be a serious factor in the 2026 Olympics once they get Heiskanen back, once they get Ristolainen, and hopefully some young blue liners could emerge. But I think in this tournament, just the lack of depth, especially defensively, it's just not going to be enough to get it done in this tournament. Maybe you can pull off an upset like I have them doing. They could easily beat United States, Sweden, or Canada, but in terms of winning 2 out of 3 games to make it to the championship game, I just can't really see it happening. So I have Canada advancing to the championship game. And then the United States versus Sweden, I'm going with USA 4, Sweden 2. When looking at it, this would be the United States' first game at home because the first 2 sets of games are played in Montreal. Then they come back to Boston. I can't see the United States losing on home soil in a best-on-best in Boston to potentially advance to the championship game. The defense cores are about equal even after the loss of Quinn Hughes. I still really like the United States defense core, but again, the forwards, the center depth is night and day when looking at the United States. Guys like Matthews, Eichel, Miller, Trocheck, and that's even with Jack Hughes playing on the wing right now. I'm not sure Sweden would be able to get the 3-4 goals past Connor Hellebuck that it would take to probably win this game. I think the United States will be able to dominate in transition with the puck movers that they have. Not saying Sweden doesn't have any, but I think the United States would be all over Sweden in front of a ruckus TD Garden Boston crowd and advance to the championship game. And now we got the championship game, and it is Canada versus the United States. And I am going with the score of 4-3, Canada winning the Four Nations face-off for 2 main reasons. First and most importantly, the Quinn Hughes loss, it is just massive. It's massive. When looking at it, he comes out of the lineup. Noah Hannifin's probably going to play instead of him. That is a sizable drop-off in terms of him being your number 1 defenseman on your top power play. And again, going down in games, that offensive creation. I love Adam Fox. I love Zach Werenski. I think Fox is going to be able to play that role as the number 1 to a degree, but doesn't have the same offensive creation. And Zach Werenski on that top power play will not have the same magic as a Quinn Hughes. It's just absolutely brutal for this team to lose this guy, considering he's dealing with this oblique injury. It makes sense why he's sitting it out. The Canucks need to make the playoffs. They have expectations. But yeah, Quinn Hughes is massive. And then the second reason, there's just a lot more experience on Canada in these big games, in these big moments. You look at the United States, their Stanley Cup champions are just Jack Eichel, Matthew Tkachuk, and Jake Gensel when he was like 21, 22 years old back in 2017. And their only other guys that made a cup final are Charlie McAvoy in 2019 and Chris Kreider and JT Miller in 2015. Not trying to be a boomer and say that that's what's going to matter the most. Obviously, missing a guy like Quinn Hughes is going to matter more in Canada, having the 2 best players without a doubt in this tournament in Nathan McKinnon and Connor McDavid. But you look at the experience that Team Canada has. You have guys like Crosby, McKinnon, Stone, Reinhart, Point, Brad Marchand, Cale Makar, Devon Toews, Drew Doughty, Sam Bennett, Hagel, Theodore, Hill, Binnington, all being Stanley Cup champions, and then a lot of other players on the team also making Stanley Cup finals. They just, as of right now, have that winning DNA advantage. Again, Quinn Hughes being out means a lot more than that, but I think that these teams match up very well. It's going to come down to really Connor Hellebuck in that big high-pressure situation where he's maybe crumbled in years past. He has had good playoff runs, like in 2018, don't get me wrong. But if Connor Hellebuck decides to shut the door, I think the United States can win this. But if the goaltending is about equal, which I think it can be, Aiden Hill has balled out in big playoff moments, won a Stanley Cup. Yeah, I think I would maybe slightly lean Canada over a Quinn Hughes-less Team USA. That doesn't mean in 2026, I think Canada's going to win, because I think the United States is a younger team versus Canada is going to have maybe some age regression. Yes, they have some young guys up and coming, but I think Canada, yeah, I think I have Canada winning this. Quinn Hughes loss, swapping Noah Hannafin in for Quinn Hughes is just big. It's there's no denying that. And even if Team Canada didn't have Sidney Crosby, that would not be as big as a loss. Them going from Crosby to Mark Scheifele on the team is not that big of a difference compared to Quinn Hughes versus Noah Hannafin. Now, in terms of my leading scorer, I got Mitch Marner racking up assists, playing on that top line with Connor McDavid. And I have Connor McDavid winning the MVP. I could see Mitch Marner in, what do they play, 4 games, having 1 goal, 6 assists, but Connor McDavid having 4 goals, 2 assists, and having a goal and an assist in that championship game. Yeah, I think considering I have Canada scoring those 7 goals against Finland, I assume the leading scorer as well as the MVP is going to be on Team Canada. But yeah, that's where I see the 4 nations lining up for the most part. Let's go through it again. Canada beating Sweden, Finland beating the United States, Sweden beating Finland, USA beating Canada in the round robin, then Canada beating Finland pretty handily, USA beating Sweden, and then Canada beating the United States by a score of 4-3. Not saying overtime. I didn't want to be corny and be like, overtime winner by Connor McDavid. Oh my God, repeat of 2010. Nah, I think regulation, maybe it ends up being 5-2 with an empty, or 5-3 with an empty net goal. But yeah, let me know in the comments. What do you think about this? I get called biased from time to time. I'm picking against the United States. I am. I think that Hughes injury, again, it just stinks. If we're all healthy in 2026, I really like the United States' chances. It definitely helps that it's on home soil. It's at TD Garden. But yeah, I think the building's going to be split, maybe even more Canadians. I'm not going to lie, coming down from Montreal and all that. But let me know in the comments. What do you think? I'll be seeing the next one. Peace. Should be an awesome tournament.